Forbes Books presents Sustainable Leadership and Disruptive Growth with David Radlow. Transformation for a new and better world. Here's David.
Continuing with our best new service of the year on sustainable leadership and disruptive growth, I'm delighted to speak with Alfonso Carney III, the founder of Enrich Scholars, an organization that empowers historically marginalized college students, recent graduates, and early career professionals of color to excel in their career aspirations. Alfonso, you have achieved some amazing growth. You mentioned collaborations with major brands like Wayfair and Fidelity. But what has been the most surprising thing along this journey?
I think what's the most surprising is how big the need is for students, right? I am a Black man, graduated from college in 2012 from Amherst College, go Mammoths. I knew inherently that this was a problem because I just looked at the different outcomes from students of color that I went to school with and from their white peers, right? So I knew starting the business that this was a problem. I don't think I realized how little infrastructure there was for these students to learn about these jobs and how so many students feel like they are alone in this process and they don't know what the next step is. And so when we started it, we just had a lot more student interest than we thought we would, right? Like, we don't market to students. We don't spend marketing dollars. We develop relationships with schools and different organizations on campus. And just through that, we've gotten like a ton of students. As I said, we have over 1,500 students now on the platform. So I think the most surprising thing is just like how acute the problem is to the individuals that we're trying to help.
And that really plays into your uniqueness and differentiation. There are a lot of companies out there trying to deal with different parts of this problem. What makes Enrich Scholars so special?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we're playing in a lot of sandboxes, or it might seem like we're playing in a lot of sandboxes doing the recruiting, placement, as well as the finance. But I think what makes Enrich individual is that we have developed this all from the perspective of the student. It's not sort of business-based first, it's student experience-based first. So we are there recruiting students early, helping them figure out their jobs, and we intend to keep the students in our network through their early career, right? And that's because we know that students of color don't just have a recruiting problem, they've got sort of retention problem, an adjustment to adulthood problem, and finance issues. And so we've developed this all to mirror the student journey over the course of years. And I think that that's a very important distinction, because that's how I think you make the biggest difference. There are other companies that are offering individual services to students at different points in that journey, but it's not holistic. What we're building is a holistic service that'll take students from being a sophomore, even a freshman in college who doesn't know anything about much, all the way through having a successful first few years at their company and actually starting to build wealth in a sustainable way. And that's really our goal. Our end goal is to reduce the racial wealth gap and put money in these kids' pockets over the long run. So we developed something that mirrors exactly how they experience life in those college years and in those early career years, which doesn't exist. And so I think really differentiates us in the market to our students.
Okay, you're not a job board. You're more like a grassroots movement, community organization, premium advising for premium positions with a focused mission to reduce the racial wealth gap.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I wouldn't say we're only premium positions, right? We will place students in certain jobs that might not be described as premium. Again, we are taking in students with all backgrounds from all colleges, and we're placing them in companies that need all different types of sort of caliber students, right? But the service we're offering is premium in the sense that we are taking our time with the students that are serious about getting a job. And yeah, the end goal is to reduce the racial wealth gap. Everything that we do is designed towards getting students paid with life-sustaining wages and helping them to reduce their debt, which creates a positive situation, right? If you're making more money, you can reduce your debt, which allows you to have more money, right? And that's sort of a feedback loop that is positive for their lives, and with the end goal of them saving money and actually building wealth early in their careers.
So these students are coming with a great attitude and willing to take on additional skills. But am I right? Their cost is minimal?
Yeah, this is completely free for students. We charge companies to hire our students, but to get access to the platform and to get these resources, it's free for students. But at the same time, I will add, like, students have to put in the work, right? If there are any students listening, this is free monetarily, but you got to put in the time because if you want to get a job, you're competing against everyone else that wants to get a job, and it's tough. So we make sure that our students are serious and have put in the work and are prepared for the interviews that they're going into.
Could you comment on your long-term vision and where you want to take this?
Definitely. Long term, we want to be the employment and financial health partner to an engaged community of diverse professionals who have historically been excluded from the wealth building process in America, right? We believe that if we can get students jobs, we will be able to help them refinance their loans, which will make our offering even more attractive to the next class of students, which will allow us to get more students jobs, right? And so we think that we are creating a feedback loop that in the long run, we will have created a large community around the country of underrepresented professionals and financial customers.
As you focus on your vision and long-term strategy and future, what other opportunities await in the future? Are you simply overwhelmed with so much business that you're just trying to keep this simple?
Yeah, right now we're keeping it pretty simple. I mean, we've got a very large vision, right? It's not just loan refinance, but once we've actually developed financial relationships through student loan refinancing, we want to offer other financial products, right? We want to help guide students towards the best types of credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, so that they, again, can build wealth over the long term. And that goes back to sort of your question about how we are differentiated in the market. We have a very long-term vision about each relationship that we are creating with our students. And so years from now, we want our students to still be partners with us, engaged with the community we're building, and financial customers taking our help to sort of build wealth. That all said, of course, right now we are, still keeping it fairly simple, placing students and helping with loans.
Moving on from that, you've been very straightforward, and thank you. Could you be kind enough to talk about your partners and team and what they do?
For sure. My co-founder and partner, George Clement, is one of my best friends from high school, actually. We grew up in New York City together, and he is the former CEO of Just Fix, which is a nonprofit that helps tenants' rights nonprofit, I guess you could say. It helps tenants sue their bad acting landlords in New York and in Los Angeles. So he has been sort of making a social impact for a long time and was excited to jump on the team with me. Our CTO is named Josh Zemke. He's got years and years of experience as a software engineer, and he has really put this product together and built it out from the earliest stages. We've got Gülsen Çavuşoğlu. She's Turkish, and if she listens to this, she'll beat me up for the mispronunciation. But she is our program manager, and she has designed all the different tracks and offerings that we are giving to students. And then we've got Eric Cole, who is our head of sales and head of key partnerships, who is helping us find new partners and making sure that we're growing our relationships with our current partners.
Okay, appreciate your speaking about the team, and you spoke a little bit about technology. How do you ensure success, and how are you leveraging technology with your team, with your unique value proposition?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the way that we've really done this is when I started the business, I was doing this all by hand, more or less. I was using an Excel sheet to track my student relationships and really figuring out from the ground floor what students needed and what companies needed in this process. And then over time, we've just built in those offerings that we figured out into the product. The biggest way that we leverage technology is through the job discovery. So that helps us scale sort of how students figure out about different jobs. The application process, of course, we now are able to walk students step by step without sort of intervention into how to apply to jobs and actually getting applications in. A big one is the tracks I mentioned before. So depending on a student's interests or their year in college, they have different offerings, and that's what Goulston has helped so much with, is develop these different tracks so we can offer students with different needs different programming while they're in college. And then the communication that you asked about before. So one of the biggest things we figured out is just like college students don't check their email like professionals check their email. They don't use a calendar like professionals use a calendar. So they often just get lost in the sauce of being a college student, which is fair because I did too. But we've made sure that our communication system with students is such that they are aware of what they need to complete. And that I think is one of the biggest leverage points for our product is communication. But yeah, there are a bunch of different things that we've developed just straight up from figuring out how to do it manually and what we needed manually. And then we're building the product just to solve those problems.
Is it fair to characterize where you are right now as that you're in test and that you've incubated this thing and that you're right at the apex to accelerate this as you work through the bugs? What do you see that you need in the future to make this a blockbuster reality from an extreme success from where it is right now?
Yeah, I would say your characterization is correct, right? The product is at a point where it is scalable. I think the biggest thing that we need is probably more partners, right? I think we haven't really yet done marketing, spent money on marketing. We don't have we don't do ads or anything like that yet. And I think it's remarkable how far we've come without doing that. But I think we're now at the point where we've figured out how to recruit and coach up and match students successfully. So the next step for us is really growing the demand side of the market and getting more industry coverage. So if students come to us and say they want to go work for a nonprofit, well, we need to have more nonprofit partners so that we can serve those students. If students come to us and say, I don't know, they want to work as a civil engineer, well, we should have some government contracts where we can place students into the federal government or state governments. And we don't have those yet. So I think that's probably the biggest expansion point, biggest growth hurdle that we have right now.
Okay, thank you for being so candid. You have our attention. Can you please kindly let us know anything we have not spoken about and how we can learn more and reach out?
Definitely. I think as folks are listening to this, look, we've got a ton of fantastic students of color across the nation right now. And I think one of the biggest things that we're figuring out that we can do for our company partners is actually create pipelines years in advance of when our partners will be hiring folks. So what that means is we can identify students that are going to be good fits for a role by the time they're sophomores, potentially more than 2 years ahead of when they would be applying for that role at one of our company partners. And so what we've done for some of our partners now is say, hey, let's not just talk about who you're hiring this year. Let's talk about your long-term diversity hiring strategy. If you know this role is going to be hiring X amount of people in 3 years, we can already start to build that pipeline for you of current college students. And our company partners have really appreciated that. I think that's another differentiator that Enrich offers to the market. So I guess that'd be one thing I say we've recently started to do that's very exciting and is getting a lot of interest from new company partners and from our current partners.
To learn more about Enrich Scholars, where do we go, and about you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, our website is enrichscholars.com. There's a section for companies that might be interested. My email address is alfonso@enrichscholars.com. If anyone is interested in partnering or just learning more about exactly what we do, yeah, the all the information's on the website to check it out.
Alfonso Carney, thank you so much for sharing this wonderful project that you're working on. We wish you all the best, and anything that we can do to make this vision a more blockbuster reality than it already is, we want to help.
No, Dave, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for bringing me on and asking some great questions. Excited to bring this vision to reality. This opportunity will certainly move us forward. So thank you.
To connect with David, go to davidradlow.com. David's book set, The Principles of Cartel Disruption and Secret Stories of Leadership, Growth, and Innovation, are available wherever books are sold. This has been Sustainable Leadership and Disruptive Growth with David Radlow, a presentation of Forbes Books.